At academia, we believe in the power of mentorship and community. The mentorship opportunities at academia are invaluable. Having someone who has been where you are and can guide you along the way is truly priceless. And our efforts don't stop at graduation. We are committed to helping our students succeed in the real world. Whether that means securing internships, landing their dream job, or even starting their own businesses. Academia isn't just an institution, it is a movement. A movement dedicated to empowering African talents and transforming them into global leaders.
Hi, I am Yusuf. I am an electrical engineer and also a student. I am currently taking the course Product Design, also known as UI UX Design with Academia. And I can tell you the classes have been so wonderful. It's been top notch, You get to interact with your mentors, you ask questions, and the classes have been fun, trust me.
So, hello everyone. My name is Oluwadam Inde. I'm a product designer at Academia. I started this journey some few weeks, even though I was skeptical and scared about how do I go about it. But to my greatest surprise, the first week and the second week, we are taught how to build an hero section, add buttons, change colors, do so many things. And I think the second week or third week, we are asked to create a big event site with 3 sections, and which I did. It was as in I didn't believe I could. I could, but I did it, and I'm so elated. I'm finding this very, very interesting, and all glory or courtesy of Academia Institute. I can boldly tell you that Academia is one institute that you can bank on, because the lecture from the mentors is so easy. It's so easy to understand whatever they are teaching you. Is so easy, and I can tell you that if you are looking to launch a career in the tech, you can register with Academia for product management, product marketing, product design, which I'm currently doing at the moment. And I can tell you that before the end of this training, oh my God.
Hi everyone. My name is Obina Williams Eke. I'm an architect. I'm currently taking a course with Academia Institute Product Design, and so far so good. It has been an amazing moment with the tutor. His choice of words and illustrations are exquisite.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ayolua, and I'm a travel consultant and also a real estate consultant. I'm currently taking the product management course with Academia, and so far the classes have been super great. It's been interactive, from the anchor to my fellow students in the class. It's been an amazing, I think 3 weeks now, or 4 weeks. It's been an amazing 3 weeks, with loads of assignments, and trust me, the assignments actually helps me. It has widened my knowledge and also giving me more insight about product management. And lastly, I would recommend Academia over and over again. So this is an institute that you should sign up with if you are looking into transitioning to tech. Yes, thank you.
Hi, my name is Joshua. I'm a singer-songwriter. I recently started a course in product design with Academia, and the experience has been really amazing, to my surprise, because I've always thought of product design or tech to be very, very hard and not for me. But Academia have made it so simple and easy for me. I really thank God for them. And also, I want this opportunity to recommend Academia to you. I'm not just hyping them; they're actually very, very good. Their tutor is amazing, simplify everything for you, you understand. And also they are very patient with you with discounts, with the payment plan and everything.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I hope your day has been good. So I'm super excited to be talking with you all today. So if you know you are excited as well, you can just give me a thumbs up, use the reaction. Um, let's know if you're excited to be in today's section. I can't see your reaction. Are you not excited? Are you not happy to be here this evening? Or you'd rather be somewhere enjoying yourself, popping wines and eating, dancing? Okay, I can see them now. That's great. That's great. Okay, so today's session is going to be an amazing one. It's going to be all practical. It means that you're going to be learning from someone who has years of experience. I have worked with Faith, and I can tell you for a fact that she's an amazing individual, amazing person, and what you'll be learning from her today is going to be something that she has applied for herself and has been working. She's an excellent product designer and also an excellent UI graphics designer. I see that combination, being able to create um, user-friendly UI, being able to create excellent UI, beautiful UI, and meaningful UI. No concern. Some people create UI that you don't even understand what this UI means, what it means, right? You don't really understand. The experience is not there, but she's an excellent UI UX designer, and her graphics are also, epic. So just, if you have your friends that are supposed to be here that are not here, remind them, send them a message, ping them, call them, tell them they don't want to miss out, because in a few minutes should get right, should jump right in. So before she starts, I just want to give you a quick overview of what academia is all about and what we do here. I know that there are a lot of new people here that joined the community recently, so you might not have all the understanding about what career lab is all about, and what academia is all about, and what we do here, as well as the courses that we offer. So basically, we are a technology institute. We offer trainings that cuts across data, product management, cybersecurity, web development, product marketing, product design. There are a lot more courses that are going to be unveiled. We're unveiling our new courses as we newly. There were some courses that initially we had just product management, product marketing, and product design, because that was what we were looking at. But we've gotten a lot of people who are interested in other courses around data analytics, security, and web development. So, but there are other ones that is coming right down. But these are the courses that are currently that we're currently accepting learning for right now. And then so for one of the most important part of learning with academia is that you have opportunity to learn from experts, those who have over 10 years, over 8 to 10 years of experience in that particular field. You're not learning from, someone who is just new, someone who is new. You're learning from an experienced person, someone who has learned it, done the work, and has made the mistake, and is able to, empower you to not make the same mistake in your field of work, right? And then our curriculum are also comprehensive, but specifically tailored for beginners. So that if you're a beginner, so it gives you that smooth entry into the tech space. So you don't have to, it's set in a way where you can easily understand it, set in a way where it gives you that smooth transition from beginners to experts. So, and also you have hands-on experience, just like what one of the beneficiary mentioned in the video. She mentioned how you have opportunities to have assignments. Those assignments are basically gives you that hands-on experience that you need to become an excellent tech professional, because it's way beyond theory for us, right? It's more practical. every single class that we hold, every single is very, very practical. The mentor is not just telling you a story or using a pitch deck or a slide deck to teach you. They are doing those things in your face. So you're seeing exactly what you need to be doing. If they need clarity, they can provide it to you. And then you have assignment and assessment to help test your knowledge on what you have learned. And then there's also networking opportunities as well. It's something that we preach a lot with academia, because when it comes to your tech space, you need to build your network, because a lot of people that you can learn from beyond just the training that we offer you, and even the community as well. You get, I know people who have new friends right now within the technology, within the institute, and I personally, I know how I've been a beneficiary of excellent networks. Some of the things that I'm able to do, some of the opportunities I'm able to enjoy right now in my career path starts from the institute that I became, the institute that I joined, and the people that I'm able to, network with as well. There's power in networking. I'm sure you must have heard that a lot. So we also prioritize that within our network, within our institute as well. And there's real world project immersion. So every single thing that you're doing, you're going to be working on real life projects. You're going to be working on testing your ideas, testing, for example, if you're a product manager, you would have to, be innovative. You look at solutions within your communities, solutions within your place of work, or things that you're passionate about that you would like to develop a product for. And then you'll be opportunity to create a comprehensive product strategy, product requirements, or technological solutions for that particular project. Same for the product design team as well. You would have the opportunity of designing a product marketing. You're coming up with go-to-market strategies. Same for the data analytics team, cohort, the web development cohort. You'll be developing a full stack, a full software system, a web interface that comprises of both the front end and the back end. That means that you're building a skill, not just as a back end developer, you're building a skill in as a front end developer as well. So, in the development world, there are different people that perform different roles. There are people who call themselves front end developers, and people call themselves back end developers. But with us, you can learn both skills, and then when you are able to identify where your core strength is, you can choose to branch into just one part, major into one particular aspect of web. But a lot of organization, a lot of companies tend to favor those who have more generalistic skills, more skills that are able to, cut across different spaces. It means that you are much more valuable to them rather than someone who just have one set of skill. So, and then there's also post-training mentorship. So beyond just the training, you have opportunities to still remain within, you still have opportunity to you still have interactions with your mentor for about 3 months. So post 3 months post training mentorship, it means that if during the post training mentorship you get an opportunity to work with a company, or you get an opportunity to intern with a company, you still have your mentors to reach out to for example, when you encounter a particular challenge, when your boss or your team lead gives you a particular task and you're unable to deliver, or you just have some questions or you need clarity, you have your mentors there to guide you. And even beyond just the training program, we have an alumni forum where you can always share your work and get feedbacks from your fellow fellow students, your fellow alumni, and you can always ask questions and get clarity on those things. So, and then just to give you, I already mentioned the courses that we offer. So I'm just going to go into the course structure. So all of our courses are basically 12 weeks. So 12 weeks course, just to ensure that you are able to get in-depth knowledge into the skills that you're looking to learn. And our mode of delivery is strictly virtual. We have virtual classes just to ensure that you have that flexibility and that opportunity to, continue your work. For those who are 9 to 5 hours, you can still work while you're learning, and the classes are strictly in the evenings, right? And we have weekly lectures and also answering exercises, and you have regular assignments to reinforce your learning, and then you have opportunity to apply your learnings to real life scenarios and all. So going into one particular aspect of the program. So let me just give you a
quick rundown about the prices. The product management cost is 100,000, product marketing is 100,000, product design is 100, and then data analytics is 150,000 euro. And full stack web is 150, cybersecurity is 150. But the most important part is that just like what Joshua said, we offer a flexible payment plan for you, because you know that, yeah, you might not be able, some people might not be able to cover that some amount on the go, right, immediately. So we offer you up to 3 installment payment options that you can spread across during the program, across the programs. So that is what we've made available for you. The opportunity to learn from experts, and also the flexible payment options gives you that opportunity to, you know, not break your bank, right? So so that I don't take so much of your time again, so if you have specific questions concerning the programs, if you're in our community, you can drop your questions in the community, and someone would reach out to you. You can send a message to any of the admins within the community, so that you can get all the information that you need. If you want more information about the payment plan, if you want more information about each courses, the particular course that you're interested in, and even if you don't have clarity on what particular program you want to go for, we are also available. We are also available to we can also we can also we're also available to guide you on the right career path that you can embark on. Oh yes, you can ask your question here. We would take questions concerning the program after the classes, right? But you can type your question so that you don't forget it, and then I can respond to it in the chat. But if you'd like me to talk about it, like want to hear my voice, we can do that after the training that we're going to have. But definitely you can still drop your questions in the chat, and then I would type a response for you as well. Or you can wait till after the graphic design class for us to, you know, make it a bit more interactive for you. So without further stories, without so much talk, I'd like to make welcome our speaker for today. Her name is Faith Ofeme, and like I mentioned before, I'm super excited to have her here because she's an excellent designer and excellent graphics artist, and she is the right person to guide you on your career paths as a UI UX designer. So I've worked with I think one particular aspect of UI UX design that I love so much. Okay, okay. My colleague here, James, please, you can drop the community link so that people who are not in the community yet can join the community as well. Okay, he will do that. Just give him a few moments. So one thing I love, I think it was Faith that gave me that understanding about why a product designer should actually learn UI UX design, because you know there's a lot of things when it comes to design, and there are some basic principles that you need to learn as a designer, right? So that is one thing that Faith is some Faith. I mentioned Faith is an excellent product designer, and I think that our core skills in graphic design also helped achieve that. But there are certain things that you might need to do, especially when you're creating, building a web interface. For example, building a web interface for an e-commerce site, it might require you to do some banners. It might require you to do some mock-ups. It might require you to do, although Figma can give you some of those, you know, tools to use, but there are just some things that you can do with Photoshop that you cannot just do with Figma, right? So, and there are some things that you can do with CorelDRAW that you can't do with Figma. So unless you are, you know, one of the developers of Figma, but definitely Faith will be giving you all the insights that you need to become an excellent product designer and learn graphics. So over to you, Faith. Thank you very much for joining us. We can't. Your mic is muted. I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm excited to have you here. So, Comfort has said quite a lot about me, and this is my face. So, I'm putting a face to the name. I will just go over with a quick introduction once more. My name is Faith Afeme. I am a designer. So like Comfort said, I am a UI UX designer and a graphic designer. And also recently I launched into brand identity design. I know you may want to ask why all of this. So yes, I'm going to just go ahead to say that. To reiterate what Comfort said, as a designer, you need background knowledge in graphic design for you to be able to excel in other aspects, truth be told, really, because if you want to get into your design career, and you don't have so much knowledge on graphic design, you may not be able to get the visual aesthetics part of it. Yes, you could produce or create rather good user flows and all of that, but once you haven't gotten that background right, trust me, your user interface wouldn't be so great. And that is why I believe so strongly that every UI UX designer should have a background knowledge of graphic design. And of course, that's why we're here. Okay, so I'll be turning off my camera right now and I will enable you to see my screen. Like Comfort also said, this is a very practical class, so I don't have slides to share. I'll just be showing you my screen and, you know, I will take you through everything that I have planned out to teach you. And also for me to add one more thing, I would like to mention that you cannot learn graphic design in an hour and 30 minutes that this class is going to last, right? So this is a beginner class. And of course, I believe that everyone here, in one way or the other, are into design already, maybe product design or something. So I wouldn't go deep down to the surface right now. I'm assuming that majority of you here are already into product design. So at least to the best of my knowledge, you have an idea of Figma or Adobe XD, whatever it is you use to design your interfaces. And for the sake of this class, we'll be using the almighty Photoshop. Yes, I said almighty because Photoshop is the industry standard tool when it comes to graphic design. And it is not just because it has a very big name or something. Oh no, that's not it. So when it comes to Photoshop, Photoshop is recognized as the industry standard tools because it offers a variety of options. So there are so many things you could do on Photoshop that you would not be able to do on other design softwares. And trust me, for those who are saying, when I use Canva, this is not to downplay the products, right? I'm just trying to say that Photoshop offers you quite a couple of things. It makes you more creative. It brings out your creative juice and helps you to express yourself better than any other tool would give you opportunity to. And now this is not me saying that you should not learn other tools, right? But whatever you're learning, just have an idea of Photoshop because really that is where you can best unleash your creativity. Okay, so I will be turning off my screen right now and my video rather, and the next thing you're going to be seeing is my Photoshop screen. And also just in case I go off air or something, please just let me know in the chat so that I would know. All right, so excuse me. Okay, so this is Photoshop. This is how Photoshop looks like. So before I start, this is what I have in mind. Just go through it. Yes. So this is what you will be learning today. So firstly, you'll be learning the environment of Photoshop, learning how to navigate software. So the first thing people say when they come into Photoshop is, oh, Photoshop is too complicated. Yes, I felt so too, you know. Excuse me. The first time I opened Photoshop, I was very confused. I wouldn't lie. It seemed like something that was so far-fetched, something I wouldn't be able to learn, right? But then I had to tell myself that if people use this tool, then how much more me? So yes, I understand that Photoshop doesn't exactly offer you all the let me say candies or something that other platforms offer. For instance, when you want to design on Photoshop, you are not given elements to, you don't have the element options. You have to scout for this element yourself. And when I say element, I mean various elements or various items rather that you need to spice up your design, right? So you don't really get that luxury when it comes to Photoshop. You have to have an idea other websites, other platforms where you can get these resources from, so that your design could look very professional, neat, and also visually appealing, which is the ultimate. Okay, so you'll be learning how to navigate the software. And let me just mention, so for those of us, or for those of you rather, who are already into product design, who use Adobe XD or Figma, it's not entirely different from what you're used to. Okay, so don't be scared. It's not different in the sense. It is different, but I mean, it's not something out of the box, something that is unable to learn. At least there are so many features of Photoshop that you already have on Figma, so I think it's easy for you to also grasp faster that way. And nextly, we'll be going to core tools every designer should learn to use in Photoshop. The layer tools, the adjustment tools, painting tools, transform tools, content aware tools, camera raw filter, and then the next is image enhancement, compositing, retouching, basic image editing techniques. And then you've got masking and layer blending. And you'll be learning how to use layer mask and blend modes to create complex compositions. Okay, so without wasting so much time, this is how Photoshop looks like. This is the homepage of Photoshop. So I would like to mention that Photoshop is not a free.
We can't see your screen.
So for those of you who would want to start practicing immediately, please understand that this is not accessible to users for free. Although Adobe offers a 30-day free trial, and then afterwards you get to pay for the tool. So there are actually websites rather where you can get the cracked versions. However, I would advise that if you don't trust these platforms, please do not download from there, just so that you don't corrupt your computer in any sense. Okay, so I have shown you the homepage. So basically, this is just showing your previous designs. I mean, what you've done before. So everything is here, arranged in the manner in which you close them. And you could also choose to change your viewing option, right? If you want it this way, or if you want it as a grid. So this is how to start a new design. So you go to create new design. And for those of us who are very familiar with Figma, it's not so different. So what you see here is a title. You name your design, give it a title, design 1, for instance. And if you're creating designs for, let's say, a website, maybe you want to create a website banner. So you could give it the 1920 by 1080 pixels, dimension. And then, you go on. So you could choose to make your background black, white, transparent, or choose any other color.
Hello, Faith. We can't see your screen. We can see your screen now, but we're not seeing your screen before. I don't know if you can hear me. You're muted now, though.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, but you've gone far, but we couldn't see your screens since the beginning of the conversation. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Oh my, I can hear you. I'm sorry about that.
Well,
so I did not realize that I didn't share my screen from the start.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So this is how Photoshop looks like. This is the homepage. I'm using homepage because I know that some of us are familiar with product design. This is how it looks like, the landing page, safe to say. And this shows your previously designed projects or works. So like I said, Photoshop is not so far away from Figma. You have quite a number of options right here. And also to start a new design, you go to create create new rather, or you open an existing design. So we'll be using the create new. And like I said, just in case you want to design a banner for your website, so you could maybe use the height 1920 by 1080 pixels, which I'm going to be using for this experiment. And then you click on OK. So before I click on OK, you have options here. So you could either choose to put your dimension in pixels, in inches, centimeters, millimeters, and all of the other options provided here. And then, so color mode, so because it is a digital print, it is advised that you use the RGB color mode. But then if you want it printed, the CMYK color mode is best suited for that. And every other thing here should actually not really bother you in the sense, like if you look at this option that is activated now, you would see that I chose the RGB color mode here. So you click on OK, and then you have a blank screen. So this is how it looks like when you're about to create a design. I'm going to walk you through various options here, although not everything, because Photoshop has quite a lot of options here, quite a lot of tools. And because of our time, we will not be able to explore everything right here. So I will just be dwelling on the most important elements right here, the ones you need for your design. So like I said, this is what I will be teaching you. I'm going to share my screen again. So just in case you want to take a screenshot, or just in case you want to have an idea of what we'll be doing in the class. So this is everything we'll be doing. I had earlier mentioned it. I read it out, but I didn't know that you couldn't see my screen. So we'll be starting with the environment of Photoshop. And I would like to say firstly that Photoshop is the industry standard tool when it comes to graphic design. And I believe that I have earlier mentioned the reason why it is the industry standard tool, because it offers you quite a couple of options that you may not be able to access on other platforms. So yes, that's it. And of course, a lot more reasons too, but that's not why we're here. So quickly go on to what we are supposed to do. So environment of Photoshop, I have shown you how the home screen looks like. And so these are a couple of options you have here, or tools rather, and they serve different purposes. So for those who use Figma, I'm sure you have the Move tool, so it's not entirely new to you. If you also use Adobe XD, the Move tool would not be entirely new to you also. So really what this entails is that you are able to select certain elements. So if you look at the right-hand side, this is what you call your layer panel, where my cursor currently is right now. It's called your layer panel. And again, for those who use Figma, it's not different. Everything you have on your screen appears here, one after the other, in the measure or in the order in which you have added them to your blank canvas. Okay, so under this, we have the artboard tool also. So what the artboard tool does is, now let me go back. So you could choose to either create your design in an artboard method, or the other way we used, which is more like a clipboard. So right now we'll be doing an artboard method. So for an artboard method, you can have as many screens as possible. So now using the artboard method, let's say we have a design to do. And right now I'll be using the social media dimensions, 1080 by 1080 pixels. So we have an artboard here. And this means that you could add multiple artboards, right? So let's assume that you want to do 10 designs in a row, or 10 screens or something. You could have, multiple artboards right here. You could choose to duplicate to the left, to the bottom, to the right, to the top, whichever way you choose, right? So for those who want to have all their designs done in one place, it's advisable for you to use this artboard method. But if you need just one design, you could always make do of this, or make the reduce rather. And back to the artboard method. So now let me tell you something. So before Figma came on board, Photoshop was actually the tool that was being used for UI UX design, right? I was speaking to a senior UI UX designer one time, and I was trying to ask him, okay, I know that Figma is quite new or relatively new to the industry. So what were you guys literally using for your designs? And he told me that they use Photoshop. right? So if you go back to the sizing, you could actually select a screen size from here when it comes to create new, right? In the sense that even if it is not listed here like you have, you could actually give dimensions already. So let's say that your screen size is, let's assume that you're doing 100 by 900, for instance, to make it look like a phone. Okay, this is pretty much too long. So I'm going to reduce it here. Let's say 100 by 600. Okay, this is an artboard. It's not an artboard. Okay, let me correct it here. I think this is also too much. So let's do 100 by 300. Or let's even make it, say, 200. So it looks like an actual screen size, right? So you could use this also for your UI UX designs, but I would say that for graphic design, please consider Photoshop, and for UI UX design, consider XD or Figma. I just wanted to add that also, that you could actually use it, but it is advised that you use the dedicated tools for that already. So back to our artboard. So this is how Photoshop looks like. I've introduced you to the Move tool and the Artboard tool here. So I wouldn't be showing you everything on this left panel because of time. There are quite a lot. So when you open one, you get to see a couple of options underneath, right? So I'm just going to be dwelling on the ones that are most important. So this is called the polygon, the lasso tool. Under it, we have the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and the magnetic lasso tool. So these tools are used to select, and I'll be putting that into action so that you see how these tools are used. And this is called the frame tool. You could create placeholder frames for images, just like you have this option of Figma actually. And then this is the spot healing brush tool. Under we need to have the healing brush, the patch tool, content aware move tool, the red eye tool, and a couple of others. So just so that I don't get you confused, I wouldn't be, talking about all of these tools. I will just be dwelling on what's important. But then this particular toolkit is used for adding more structure to your designs, just in case you want to erase a particular area of an image or the design that doesn't look so professional. You could always use your healing brush tool, your spot healing brush tool, and all of that for it. So also you could also clone. This is the options we have here. It's like the options, clone stamp, pattern stamp. And then one very important thing we should be learning today is how to use your eraser tools. So on Figma, you have to use plugins and all of that. So right here, you have everything you need to erase your background in different ways. So Photoshop offers literally, I think, up to 4 or 5 different methods to erase your background from an image. And then, of course, you have ways to blur your image, to sharpen, and all of that. So that's quite a lot. Okay, so going back to the layers, like I mentioned, everything you have on your blank canvas right here appears on your layer panel, right? So if I click on this, for instance, this is artboard 1. It is activated. You can see it's activated, but I clicked on it from my layer panel. And when I click on, let me rename this to artboard 2 so that I wouldn't get so confused, you guys. Artboard 3 and so on. So I clicked on Artboard 3 from my layer, and you can see that it is activated on my blank canvas. And then same goes to the other artboards you have here, right? So, and take note, I'm using my artboard tool to select all of this. So if I had created my file this way, I would use my move tool to make my selections. Now, let's say I want to add certain elements to my blank canvas. Now, this is me adding a shape. I just added a shape, and you can see that something new has been added to my layer panel where my cursor currently is. It's called the layer panel. And let's say I'm adding a text. So this is me adding a text. You can see that it has also been added to my layer panel. So this is just me trying to say that everything that comes here can be found here. So even if you want to select, you don't necessarily have to go to your canvas to start looking for stuff to select. Just in case it is lost somewhere, you could always access it through your layer panel. And okay, so now this is my text. I'm changing it to white so it is more visible. And you can see that it is on top of the rectangle here because of the arrangement of my layer, okay? So I want you to always look at your layer whenever you want to design. So if I take my rectangle above my text, you can see that my text would be hidden or is hidden right now, just as it is. So my text is obvious because it is above my rectangle my rectangle element on the screen. So that is one way to also check in your design. So let's say you've added a text, for instance, but you cannot see it. Always go back to your layer to see the arrangements right there. Ensure that whatever it is you want visible or whatever it is you want placed in front, appears on top of the other element that may be blocking it. Okay, so for the text layer, you have quite a couple of options here. You can write your text in a horizontal method or a vertical, method. So now let's try the vertical type too. So let's say you want to position your text in this way. Using your vertical type tool does the magic. Instead of having to, use your space bar to go to the next line one after the other, your vertical type tool does the magic right here. So your texts are presented in vertical dimension. And also you've got the type mask tool, although you may not necessarily need this. I doubt you will, but just in case you find yourself wanting to get this effect done, I'm going to increase the size of my text for clarity's sake. Yes. So this is how it looks like when you use the type mask tool. Like I mentioned, you may not necessarily have to use this, but just in case you want to get this done, this is how this is done. So on your own, you could always explore the different elements that Photoshop offers you. And then this is, I think I mentioned the eraser tool earlier. I'm going to be putting all these tools into action, okay? So don't get confused, and you could also do well to put in your questions in the chat just in case I'm a little too fast. Remember that we are also working with time. So, okay, so this is the eraser tool, and I'm trying to erase something right now. So let me say I want to erase this rectangle, right? I want to erase a part of it. My eraser tool has been activated, and now I'm using it on my rectangle. Okay, so it's not working because I'm on the wrong selection. Okay, because the pixels in the type layer cannot be edited without first rasterizing the layer. Great. Okay. All right. So because this has been masked already, it appears to be that selecting my rectangle gives me this because I masked my text on my rectangle, right? So I'm just going to undo this and show you how to use the eraser tool. Okay, so this is my rectangle. I'm coming back to my eraser. And then, yes, when I click on this, there is something called rasterization in Photoshop, right? I don't know if anyone has heard of such before, but one of the things that make Photoshop quite distinct is the fact that you could rasterize your images or your elements, and then you could also choose to convert them to smart objects so that you are able to get your design done properly. So what does it mean to rasterize a layer or a shape or whatever it is you want to rasterize? So rasterization literally means that you are converting your layer to pixels in the sense you get. So I'm converting this particular rectangle right now, to pixels. For those of us who are very familiar with design UIs, and I'm sure you should know what I mean. So because I have rasterized it, I am able to use my eraser tool. So now this is how my eraser options are like. So I have quite a couple of options right here. The kind of brushes I want to use to erase my shape. So this is the hard brush. So you can see that I'm erasing a part of my rectangle already just because I don't want it. Okay. I'm using Ctrl-Z to go back. So if I had selected the soft brush tool, you would see that my erasing here would be very soft. It wouldn't be as hard as it was earlier, in the first example. I'm going to use this using practical or better images so that you see how this is applied in a real life design. Okay, so this is just me showing you around Photoshop. And okay, so we've got these very important tools here. We've got the pen tool, we've got the free transform tool, sorry, the free form, the curvature pen tool, the add anchor points. Okay, so now let me show you how these tools work. So now let's say, for instance, we have a rectangle. I'm trying to create a vector, for instance, and I want to maybe slant I want to slant the rectangle on both edges. You get, so I'm going to be using this pen tool options right here. So now, for instance, I'm going to add an anchor point right here. So you could see that adding an anchor point has given me quite a couple of options to manipulate this shape as I want to. So when I click on it, can you see what is happening? Remember that this was initially a rectangle, but I'm using my pen tool to manipulate it as I wish. Before I continue, if you can still hear me and see my screen, could you please just indicate on the chat box so I'm sure that I'm not talking to myself?
We can't see your screen anymore.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I think I lost my connection. Can you see my screen now? Hello, can you see my screen?
Not yet. Maybe you should stop sharing and share again.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank
you. I'll try to pay more attention to the chats so I could know when my screen stops sharing. Okay, so back to Photoshop. I'm going back. I'm using the Ctrl Z to go back. Like I said, I want to manipulate this rectangular shape right here that I'm drawing. And that is where the pen tool comes in handy. Okay, so there's a question on the chat. So that we don't go back, I would attend to your questions later on, okay? So please, the person who dropped this question, do not to remind me later so it's not lost. This is a very important question, so I'm going to respond to it when I'm done with the training. This is my rectangular shape, and like I said, using the pen tool, I want to, manipulate this. The pen tool gives us a couple of options here, like you see, and which I have earlier read out. So I'm adding my anchor point. What does an anchor point mean? Anchor points mean, so firstly, when I zoom into this, or when I activate my pen tool, you could see that, hold on, let me undo this. Good. So you can see all of this. We have like 8 anchor points right here. This is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So anchor points are these rectangular shapes that surround the rectangle as a whole. So for me to be able to manipulate this, I have to also, add an extra anchor point. So this is me adding an anchor point right here to my shape. And you can see that when I move this, my shape has changed shape. my rectangle rather has changed shape, right? So this is how you could easily manipulate your elements on Photoshop using the pen tool. This is not all there is really to pen tool, right? You could use pen tool to create quite a couple of options, but this is just me having to say that this is one of the ways you can use this to best suit your need, should in case you want to achieve a certain shape that is not the regular rectangle, square, and whatnot. So Photoshop offers just these shapes here: rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, and line. That's all they do, right? This polygon, you could also use it to get a triangle. So whatever shape it is that falls into that shape family is what you could achieve with polygon. So I'm saying that just in case you want to add more spice to your design and you want your rectangle to look in a certain way, like I have made mine to look right now, you could always use your pen tool to achieve that. And also, you could also manipulate your text using the pen tool. Let's say, for instance, you have, let me write something. So I'm going to be putting the letter T right here. So you cannot see the text because the fill is set to white and my background is white. So to create opacity, I'm going to change the color, contrast rather, not opacity. So I'm going to be making this quite bigger. So this is me saying that you could always manipulate your text to your font rather. So should in case you want, you want to add some spice to this particular shape, for instance. So now using the pen tool, you could always achieve what you want to achieve with this. So I'm coming to add anchor point tool again. All right, so firstly, before I'm able to do this, I have to convert my text to a smart tool. Remember that I had earlier mentioned rasterization, which I, of course, showed you how to go about it. Without you having to rasterize certain layers, you would not be able to edit them properly. And also, sometimes you have to convert certain text to a smart tool, right, on Photoshop, so that you are able to work on it too. Because just the way it is right now, I cannot exactly, manipulate this text until I do something to it. So I could choose to convert it even to a shape. So when I convert it to a shape, I'm able to, work on it, do whatever it is I want to do. So I'm adding an anchor point right now. So let's say, for instance, I want to make this part like this. So now this is T, for instance, but maybe I can't find a particular typeface on the internet that gives me this T that looks like this. So this is me using Photoshop to create the look I want this T to have, right? Remember, this was an initial T before, but I used my pen shape to convert it to the way it is looking right now. Please, I would like to ask a question. Does my voice align with my video? Or one is slower than the other?
Yes, it does.
Okay, that's fine, because I'm using two devices. All right, so you can see how I was able to change the way the T was looking, and I was able to give it some extra edge, right? So these are the things you could do on Photoshop that you may not be able to do on, other softwares. Now, let's say, for instance, I want to give the T some more stylicized shape. Now, this is me bringing this way. It's still T, right? I'm just trying to say that, whenever you see some funny typefaces on the internet or on designs, you're wondering, how did this designer achieve this effect? This is one of the ways you can also get to do it, right? Okay, so talking about smart tools or converting layers to smart objects. So this is what it talks about. Smart objects are basically the smart objects option in Photoshop, or the what's it called, the feature in Photoshop, is a kind of option or feature that allows you to combine different layers, and this layer is now able to serve as a container in the sense. So let's say, for instance, you have a bucket and you want to put into that bucket different items. Let's say the bucket, you don't want to fill it with water, but you want to fill it with various items like let's say different things. Just think of anything you want to put into a bucket for it to hold everything. So that's what the smart tool actually looks like. Let's say the smart tool is the bucket, and then every other item you want to put into it, are your layers. So let's say, for instance, we want everything we have on our screen right now, we want to work on them as one. So I don't want to work on these things as independent layers. I want to work on everything as a group. So the first thing I do is to group my layer, Control G, and then I convert it to a smart object. So when I convert it to a smart object, I'm able to edit everything as once. So now let's say that I want to do some magic to this, for instance. Of course, you can always change the color of your shape, right? But let's say that I want to paint a part of it to be another color. So this is the color replacement tool. It's under the brush tools options you have here. So color replacement tool, I'm going to click on this, and then I have to rasterize the smart object, so I'm able to edit it. So you click on OK. So whenever you want to work on a particular object on Photoshop, and you get the option convert to smart objects, feel free to go ahead and do it, because when you convert to a smart object, it actually doesn't reduce the size of your work, and it doesn't also reduce the quality of your work, right? It's just a way for you to a way for you to manipulate multiple objects as one, just in case you want to give them a similar feature. So now this is me rasterizing this object for me to be able to work on it. And then I'm going to color. I'm going to define the color I want, right? Although this is black, and because it is black already, I may not be able to get what I want. But now let's assume that, okay, I want another color, for instance. So I'm going to my blending options. Though I'm going to explain all of this to you. So I'm choosing a color overlay, and I'm changing everything you get to this particular color. You can see that everything is changing at once because I have converted it to a smart object. So I'm able to edit everything at once. But then again, if you don't want to convert your object to a smart object yet, maybe because you still have some editing to do in it, you could also go back to the grouping option. So when you actually group your items, you could still edit them as one. Now, this is me coming back to these blending options right here, and then I'm changing all the colors at once to get. Even the text itself is bearing the same color I'm changing it to. So yes, quickly before we go into the next segment, I'm going to introduce you to what these tools have to do or what they offer. So this FX right here gives you blending options, like, you know, it reads, that's the first on the list. So when I click on blending options, for instance, and I want to get some work done to this. So let's say I want to add a bevel to this. You can see clicking on the bevel gives it an entirely different look, right? It makes it look like it's not 3D, but it gives it this extra edges somewhat, and it kind of looks more texturized and all of that. So yeah, this is what bevel does. And opening the bevel option, you could choose to make it more in-depth, like you have right now. You could see that these particular shapes I have right now, they don't exactly look like normal shapes or normal vectors anymore. They have been worked on, and that's what the bevel does. So you could also choose to add your contour to it. You could choose to increase or decrease the range, whatever it is you want. But then as a beginner, this is not something you should actually dwell on. And then also, talking of the texture, you could choose to change the texture of your object. So you can see that the texture right now has changed because I clicked on texture, and then Photoshop offers me different options here. So if I want to fill everything right here with a grass-like texture, and I click on this, you can see that it changes color, right? Remember that our shapes initially were both shapes, I turned them into black. So that is why it doesn't exactly reflect as it is right here on the texture, what's it called? The texture options provided. So this just helps you to add various textures you want to your text or to your image or to your shape or whatever. But like I said, this is not what we should be dwelling on. So I'm moving on to the next segment here, which is the stroke. So stroke is not something that is new to a designer. This is what a stroke looks like. A stroke is a line that is attached to the edge of, you know, any element you have on your design tool. Okay, so you can add an inner shadow to it, you know, just to enhance the look, literally, or make it glow inward rather, give it an intricate kind of glowing. You could choose to activate this, and then make it look like a satin. You activate this, change the entire color. You could see what happened. Everything changed its color. So really, these are ways that you could just, you know, work on your objects or your elements on Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to be leaving this particular one right now, and we'll be moving forward to the next segment. So I know that, yes, I'm supposed to introduce you to the environment of Photoshop, how to navigate the software, yes, but if I keep doing that one after the other, you may not be able to learn practically. So we'll be going into actual designs where I'll be, you know, teaching you how to also, you know, achieve whatever it is you want to achieve using the options that Photoshop provides you. So right now we'll be going into core tools, which you as a designer should know how to use in Photoshop. And so the first thing I have here is the layer tool. Okay, so now I'm going to be adding an actual element right now to this design, so we give it more life. So now how do we go about using the layer tool? I need to clear this off. So I start my work all over again. I'm changing. This is how you can change the document size. So now let's say, for instance, you want to adjust the size of your document. All you have to do is come to properties. So this is how it was before, right? Come to properties, and on properties, you get to see the options here. So the width right here is, the width is actually 1920, right? Because I changed it and then I undid it. That is why it is showing this. Let me go back and click on it again. Okay. So I changed this. It was 1920 before, and I changed it to 1080. You can see how that happened. And because it was formerly on 1920, that is why it was wider. You can see the difference right now. So I'm changing it back to 1080. This is the social media size. And yes, so how do you use your layers? So this is called the layer tool. And underneath the layer tool, you could see so many options here. Layer from background, whatever it is. And then some of them are even gray because they cannot be used yet until you have an element that permits them to use it. So amongst this, I'll be teaching you how to use the layer mask. A layer mask can be used to reveal or to hide any part of your design. And how is this achieved? Now, let's say, for instance, I have, okay, let me say I want to work, or you know what, let me go back to my home page. There are some designs that I purposely put here for us to work with, and this is one of them. So we'll be working with this design. And I'll also be showing you the process, how I achieved everything I did here using these tools I listed. Good. So now, how do you use a layer tool? If I told you that, now this is a rectangle, right? I converted it to a smart object. That is why everything is selected as one. Now, this particular golden tool I have here. So how did I achieve this? I put this item, this object here, I masked it into a shape I created. So I'm going to do that right away. So this is my shape tool. I'm coming back to it and I'm drawing my shape. So this is the exact shape I drew, and don't bother about the color. So I will be working on the color. And how did I get the edges shaped? I came to properties. So when you draw your shape, come to properties. So properties permit you to see. And before I go ahead, please ensure that you are selecting what you want to work on. Very important. Always check your layers panel to see that you select what you want to work on. If not, you might get frustrated using Photoshop. So ensure that it is selected. And how do you select again? You select using your move tool or your selection tool. That's what it's called. So going back to properties, I want to teach you how I was able to curve the edges of my shape. So I'm back at properties, and you could see this option right here, right? So these options, you can see that the first one has the left part curved. So that's how to tell you that, okay, this is the top left side of your shape. So let's say I'm working with, I want to make the top left parts 60, for instance. I put in 60. You could see now that my shape has been curved, right? It's too much because it's quite it's more curved than what we are replicating below. So I'm going to change it to 30. Okay, good. So 30 works. And then if you look at the side, by the right hand side, I have it more curved here. So let's apply, say, 70, the top right. And then coming to the bottom right, I'm also going to use the same value I used for the top right. So I'm also making it 70, although 70 appears too much. So we could reduce it to 60 on both sides, top and bottom. All right, good. And then remember that this part on the design image is straight. It was not curved, so I'm maintaining that. So this on your property panel, this basically means top left. This means top right. This means bottom left, and then this means bottom right. Good. Okay, remember I told you that I had to put this shape or this element rather into this. So for me to get this element, I got it from pngwing.com. So it is a software, or rather a website that offers you various design elements. It is called PNG Wing. I'm going to put it on the chat box right now for those of you who might want to visit it. So just in case you need design elements, you could get them on pngwing.com. And there are a lot of other websites where you could get design elements. There's Free Peak and a couple of others really. Okay, so how do I fetch this image? I've converted it to a smart object, so that's why I wasn't able to just bring it in without the text on top of it. Now this is our actual image. I'm deactivating everything I put into it, and you can see right here that this is our image. So I got this exact way from PNG Wing. I'm going to copy it. I'm copying it from this, and I'm bringing it to my design, right? So remember, this is our shape which we initially created, right? So I'm going to paste it here. So why did I even do this in the first place? I did it because firstly, I'm trying to explain how the layer tool works. And secondly, because I wanted a gold, not just a random gold effect. I wasn't getting a gold color palette that could give me what I wanted. If you zoom into this particular object I got from PNG Wing, you would see that it's sort of a gradient, right? Of course, you can achieve a gradient option here, right? So now this is to put more context to what I'm saying. So now let's say I want to change this to gold, for instance. I will go to this. Remember, this was how I created my rectangular tool. I'm going to this, and then this is the fill option. Okay, before I go on, there are just so many complexities here. So now you could see fill here, which is obviously to add your color, and you can also see color here. Please do not confuse both elements. So this one right here on my right-hand side, where my cursor currently is, it only works for a text. So when you want to fill your text with a certain color, you use the one by your right-hand side. But when you want to fill your shape with a certain color, please always come back here where you have your shape tool, right? And then the moment you click on this becomes activated where you're able to see the fill option here. So now let's say I only selected it using the move tool. You could see that those options I have disappeared. I'm going to activate it right one more time by doing this. So clicking on this automatically activates these options you have, and then I'm able to select my color from here. So this also offers a color picker tool. So remember I'm working with gold. I want to get gold effects, a gold effect, and then I'm clicking on this. And when I click on it automatically gives me the color of this shape. And when I click OK, I get this, right? But if you take a closer look at this shape I have here, which I just filled right now, and the one underneath, you will tell that the first one is just very plain from top to bottom, from left to right. It is entirely plain. There is nothing spicy about it. It's just bland. Yeah, bland is the word, right? Because I wouldn't want my designs looking bland, I have to add some more spice to it. So I went to PNG Wing. I got this particular shape right here, and then I got this element rather, and I put it into my shape. So how do you achieve that? Now looking at it, my element from PNG Wing is quite smaller than my shape. So how do I expand it? You click on Control T. So Control T brings a couple of options right here for you to explore as much as you want. Now this is the proportion I have right here, 65-65. So when I click on this in the middle, I'm able to add a particular figure that applies to both the width and the height. So I'll be changing it to 100. Yes, I just scaled it to 100. So you can see that it is bigger than the shape right now. So good, I could put it in the shape. Okay, not so big at the edges, so let's go back. Expand it some more. So this time, let's make it 120. Good. So I've made it 120, and you can see that it is covering every single thing here, right? But remember that I'm trying to put this particular element into this shape. So how do I go about it? Remember to always check your layer. Your layers, the arrangement of your layers is very important. Now, for me to be able to achieve this element I want to put into my shape must be on top of my shape. If not, it would not work. So I come to layer. This is where you locate your layer tool. Please remember that this layer is different from the layer by the right-hand side. The layer by the right-hand side is just to show you everything you have in your screen. and how you have been able to bring them in. But this other layer you get at the top, it enables you to, to edit your work or to transform your work into different shapes or ways rather. So now I'm going to be creating a clipping mask. I'm clipping right now the elements I got from PNG Wing to my shape. Now, when I click on create clipping mask, you see what happens. It has entered, right? You could see that I have been able to clip my element into my shape, although it is not so covered by the right hand side, but I could always move it. So I'm moving it right now, and I have completely covered my shape. So you can see that it gives this glossy feel, right? So it is not just looking bland anymore. The feel is glossy, like an actual golden, texture or something. And then how did I go about it? I convert it right now. I'm converting it right now rather into a smart object because I want to edit both of them at once. So now this is my elements. I click on it and then my rectangle, right? So both of them have been activated. Then I use my Control G to group them. And then I go ahead, right click, and I convert it to a smart object. So I'm converting it to a smart object so that I'm able to remember this thing. This is literally 2-in-1. I clipped my elements into the rectangle. So these are two things, right? I just converted to one now using my smart object. And then I come here where I have the FX and the blending tools to add a layer style. And then when I come here, I'm able to add my stroke, which gives it the white feel by the edges, just like you can see right now. But this is a little too much. The stroke right here is much thicker than what I'm trying to replicate. So I can always increase or reduce the size of my stroke. Look at the size. So when I click on this, or when I drag it to the right, I'm increasing it. But when I drag it to the left, I'm decreasing it. Or you could always use a figure. So I'm going to change it to 3. And you could see that 3 gives it that exact look I'm trying to achieve. So since I've got to what I want here, I click on OK, and then I'm good to go, right? So this is how you are able to, one of the things you can do with your layer tool in Photoshop. And so let me say, for instance, I'm trying to achieve a sleek gold number 2. Number 2, for instance, and I don't want it to be just bland. I want to add some life to number 2. So what I'm coming here to do is I'm increasing the font size, and I don't need to change it because of course I'm going to click the gold texture into it, gold element rather into it. So I may want to change the fonts. I've got quite a couple of fonts here. So let me choose this. So now I'm coming back to where I have this shape, Control C, and then I'm bringing it into my design. So this is my number. I click on Control V, right? And then I have my shape again. So remember, I want to use it to cover my text. I want to add more life to my text or to my number 2. So I click on Control T to activate this, and then I increase it to let's do 130 this time around, so it's able to cover up everything. And then I go back to my layer. So coming back to my layer, remember create clipping mask was what we clicked on earlier. So I'm clicking on this. And yeah, so this has been put inside, but this is not all. This hasn't brought so much life to our number 2. So what do? I want it to look more real, more realistic, not just there. So I'm going to convert it to a smart object again. And how do I do that? You add every element you want to, you want to edit at once. Control G it to make it a group, and then you could choose to convert it to a smart object or not. Remember, you can always edit elements either as a smart object or as a group. I mean, together when you have more than one element. So I'm coming back to my add the layer style, and I will get the bevel option right here. So clicking on the bevel option, you can see a difference has been made right here, right? So the 2 is not just ordinary anymore. The 2 has a thicker feel or an outlook, a thicker outlook. So I could choose to add a drop shadow, to just make it stand out somewhat. Now I've added a drop shadow to this. You can tell the difference with and without the drop shadow. And when I'm using drop shadows, please ensure that you don't add too much, right? If not, it wouldn't look as realistic as you would desire. So for the sake of this, I'm using 15 as the opacity level of the drop shadow. And I may choose to add a satin to it. You could see the look of the satin, how it changes the look, right? It makes it more sleek and makes it more like an actual gold, although quite a dark gold. And I could choose to reduce the opacity right here, which I'm doing. So I just did that, okay? And you could choose to also work on the distance. If you don't want it to be very bland or something, you could try to just choose a distance that works for you right here. And then I want it to glow from the inside. I activate the inner glow, right? You can see how that looks like. But the color here is black, so I may want some sort of green or something to it. So I'm using green. This is where I clicked on the color option here, and then it glows from the inside. So when I deactivate this inner glow, you can always tell the difference from the edges. So look closely to the edges. That's where you'll be able to tell the difference. Okay, so do I want some texture added? If I do, this is what it looks like. I really don't fancy this texture, so I don't want it because it doesn't look visually appealing in the sense, but there are times when this texture would come in handy, and just in case you want that, this is how to get it. Okay, so I click on OK, and this is what we have. Remember that this tool has gone through several aspects of editing. So at first it was white, and then we put in this particular object into it. And after which we turned it to a smart object, and we went ahead to get some edits done to it. So I'm going to be comparing this to just a bland 2. Now this is also 2. And let me say I want to change the color. So if I want to change the color, I'm coming back here to change my color and then say click on this. So you could tell the difference between the two, right? Even if I make it dark, even if I use this particular dark, you could tell the difference between the two. The first two which I worked on, it has a more sleek feel. It has more life added to it, right? It doesn't look too normal or too plain like the second two. So this is how you can easily manipulate your designs or your elements when creating designs. Okay, so one last thing I'm going to be teaching you here, and then we would have to go into the next element we have. Now, let's say, for instance, I want to blend two images. And what do I mean by that? So I'm going to my file from my computer. So I want to select images of a building, for instance. So I've got several images here. Now let me bring this in. For instance, I want to work on this. I want to blend two images together right now. This is something you could also achieve on Photoshop. And then I have another image right here, which I want to attach to it. Which one should I select? Which one should I select? Okay, let me try to bring this in. Okay, so one thing you could easily achieve on Photoshop is, you know what? I need to get another image that's that gives more room at the top. This is cropped at the top, so let me get another image. Okay, let's work with this. For instance, let's say I want to blend these two images together. You could see that they appear stacked. So when you see this image, you can easily tell that I stacked it on top of the other, right? Which doesn't look so professional. You could choose to arrange it on your layer panel however you wish. So I want to blend these two images to make them look like one. How do I go about it? I click on the first and I click on the second. So I'm using a Mac, so I do that by using the Shift button. You could always check on Google to know what button you should use if you have the Windows. So I have selected both of them and I come to layer, right? There is something called the blend layer tool on Photoshop. So what's going to happen? When you do that, you are able to blend this particular layers into one, and you can find it on the edit panel. Okay, so now this is what I want to use. It is called the auto align layers or the auto blend layers. But you can see that it is gray here, meaning it is deactivated. And why is that so? It is so because I have not converted my images into rasterized objects. So I'm going to rasterize the layers right now for me to be able to work on them effectively. So how did I come here? I right click and then I get multiple options. I head to rasterize layers and I go ahead to rasterize my layers. So they have been rasterized and they are okay for editing. So I'm coming back here and then I'm coming back to edit. You can see now that the auto align layers and the auto blend layers options have been activated, right? So just in case you're trying to get certain edits done and you are seeing that, okay, these things are gray in the sense, it is either your layer has not been rasterized or you cannot use that particular feature on what you want to do. Okay, so now let's auto align these two layers. Now we are turning these two photos. Remember, these are two different photos, right? I got from my folder. They are two different photos. So we are turning them into one photo using Photoshop. So I'm back here and then I come back to this. I click on auto align layers. So okay, no, let's use the auto blend method. So I'm coming back to edit and I'm using the auto blend layers, right? So it offers us two options. You could either blend it as a panorama or you could stack the images on top of each other. And I'm going to show you how both of them look like. So this has been activated as the panorama mode. So I click on OK. And this is what happens. If you see how this image was before, you would tell that you may not be. Okay, so now right now, both of them appear as one image, right? This is how it is now. This is how it is now, okay? So these two have been blended into one. And how do you tell? I'm going to hide this, right? This isn't how it was before. This is the first image, this is the second image. They've been blended into each other. So how do you tell? It has automatically created a mask. So now let me disable the mask on this side, and then I'll disable the mask on this side. So this is the first image, and this is the second image, right? But this is the result we got, and both of them now appear as one image. Now, this is not just a form of you having to say, okay, I may want to use my smart object for this or something. No, the effect this gives is that these two images now look like they are just one. Now, let me work on something else that makes it look realer, okay? So now let's say, for instance, I want to create a flyer and I want it to have a vertical look. Let me increase the size of this. I'll make the heights longer, for instance. And then I want to bring this house into it, but I want to give it some more space at the top. So let me bring, okay, so I'm bringing this image into this. And yes, I'm putting this image here. So now let's say that I want the sky in this image, I want it to extend to the top of the screen, right? Now, someone could say, but you could just increase the image size. Now, let's try that. If you increase the image size, you can see that everything is following you. Everything has been increased. But remember that we are looking at increasing just the size of the sky and not necessarily, we want to make the sky to be higher, not necessarily the building, okay? But let's see, let's try to increase the building a little, make it 90. Okay, the building is still very much visible from all angles. And we want the sky to also extend to the top. So how does this happen? I'm going to be manipulating it right here. So I'm going to duplicate the layer. And then we have one here at the top and we have one at the bottom, right? So how do we achieve this to make it very realistic? Now I will make this bigger. Let me make this size 140, for instance, and I think we have a sizable amount of sky from the building. Let me even make it bigger. I could make it 200. Okay, good. We have 200 here, but it's covering the other building, and that's not what we are trying to achieve, right? But how do I end up putting these two things together to make it make sense? Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my my eraser tool to erase a part of the image that I don't want to show. Now I'm just trying to find a way to make the sky, appear longer. That's my business here, not necessarily the image. So I'm going to be erasing the image, right? So I just erased the image and the other part is showing, that's what's showing there, but that's not what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm using my eraser tool to clean up the part of the building that's, is still showing. So if you zoom into this doesn't look so professional yet, because you can still tell that these are two photos. And how do you tell? See the line right here by the right hand side. So these are still very much two photos together. And remember that I'm trying to make it look very real, to make these two photos look as one. Remember where we came from. We have just this image, and we want the building size to remain the same, but we want the sky to go way to the top, right? And I had to duplicate this particular image for us to achieve that. After duplicating it, I increased the size to a point where the sky could actually show in its fullness. And then I cleaned, using the eraser tool, I cleaned the building of the duplicated image. Okay, so I'm coming back here. I'm teaching you how to use the auto blend mode right now to blend two images together to make it look realer. So I'm now going to select both of them, come back to my edits. Okay, I just realized that I have not rasterized it. So I'm coming back to rasterize my layers. So rasterize layers, which I'm going to do. I just did that right now. So they've been rasterized, and then I can go ahead to blend both of them together. Okay, now auto blend has been activated. I'm clicking on it right now, and I'm choosing the panorama mode, and I click on OK. Now this is what it gives me. Okay, they are not currently valid. All right, so let's go back. This shows that there's something wrong with our image. Now I'm using the Control Z to go back, to take it back to how it was before. So what's not right? Let's see what's not right. Now this image still has some part of it that has not been fully cleaned off, right? So how do I achieve what I want to get? Now I'm going to Control T to activate the editing options, and I'm going to reduce the size firstly, so I'm able to see the parts that have not been cleaned off the image. And then I come back right here to use my eraser tool. I'm using the eraser tool right here. And then I'm cleaning up the part of the image which I don't want to appear. I don't want it to interfere in any way with what I want to do, okay? Which is the building. All I'm concerned with is the sky. That's all my concern right now. So I have to clean off every part of the building which I don't want to be included in the work I want to do, okay? So now I'm dragging it back, and then I'm taking it back to the size we took it from. Now it's been made bigger. And then I'm going to unhide this layer right here. So let's bring them together for them to be very close to each other. So when you take them closer to each other, it's able to blend that way. All right. And I'm going ahead to rasterize them. And then this is me coming back to auto blend until I get what I want to get. So we try the panorama mode, and then you see how it looks like when you're stacking your image. So this is me clicking on OK. And it's still telling me that the parameters for command trim are not currently valid. Now, okay, I'm going back, but if you can see, this part has been blended a little, right, to form one image, but this is not giving us what we want yet. So now let me try the stack. Let me try the stack method. Rasterize layers, and then I'm back here, auto blend layers. And now let me try to stack both images together. I click on OK, and then it's still giving us the same, but fine, that's very fine. We can always fix things out. So going back to know what the issue is definitely with the image, which we are going to try to fix right away. I'm trying to undo both of them. Good, okay. So I just undid the effect I have earlier done. And now I'm duplicating this again and bringing it back, okay? So I'm going to start from where we stopped. Or perhaps it was even the space I chose earlier. Maybe it wasn't good enough. So now let's try to erase from here. Take off a tangible size from it. It doesn't have to be this way for every image, okay? Just ensure that you have your properties set right and the parts you want to be blended. So take off the unwanted parts from your image. Very important before you go ahead to blend both images together. Okay, so I'm still erasing the parts I don't want to be displayed in our blend. Remember, it is just the sky I want right here. This is too small. I don't want to make it too small. Okay, we have okay, so we have our sky right here. Good. Now let me go ahead to increase this. So I'll make it 200 or any figure that can occupy the screen. All right, so this occupies the screen, and yes, we're still blending. So I'm gonna put this above. I'm putting this above it here. Good. So it's able to blend properly. Now I'll come back and rasterize my layer so I'm able to auto blend it. Okay. So you can see the results right now. So if you can see where we came from, you will tell that this is, now this is what we have as one image. I've been able to blend it with the sky in such a way that, okay, let me get the actual image for you to see how it was like before. Now, this is how the image was like before, right? We got the image this way, right? And using the auto blend method, we've been able to change it to this. And how did we go about it? We simply duplicated it and then got the part that has the sky, which is more visible, and we use the blending option. So if you zoom into this, there is no trace of it being two different images at all, right? So this is one of the things you can achieve. Now, imagine you saying, oh my God, I need to make this way, but I need to tell the photographer to retake the image in such a way that the sky is more visible. That's, of course, going through an entirely different route, which you don't want to. And that is why you're a designer. And that is also why you use Photoshop, so that you're able to manipulate things to make it look the way you want it to look, right? So this is how you get to use your auto blend method to blend two photos together to give you the desired look which you want. All right, and having said that, we'll be going to the next segment right now. We've got quite a couple of things that we've not covered, but because of time, we may not be able to attend to all of these one after the other. So what else do we need right here? So now let me quickly teach you how to use the camera raw filter. Camera raw filter is simply used to enhance your images. And how do you go about that? So this is where you get it. This is the filter. You see the camera raw filter option here. You click on it. So if you have an image that you want to work on, maybe the image is not so clear and you want to make it sharper, you get to use the camera raw filter for that. Now, if I want to increase the vibrance of this image, it is just to simply come here, right? You can see vibrance. You click on vibrance, you can see it is, sharper. And when I take it back, you can see how it turns into, right? Good. So taking it back to 0, this is how 0 looks like, but we don't need to apply so much vibrance to it. 16 is enough, and you can see it sharp. So now, having to work on your colors, you could also see that you could change using the hue, saturation, and luminance. If perhaps I don't want the blue to be too sharp in my eye, right? Now, this is blue. I click on blue, and then I reduce the opacity of the blue. You can see that the blue has been reduced without the image or without the building being affected, right? And just in case I want the blue to be darker, this is what I do. The blue is darker, but it doesn't look so good. So I'm taking it back to 0, but I want to reduce the size of the blue. So I'm coming here to put a moderate amount. Let's do 30. So I'm doing 30, and 30 gives us, what we want. And now let's say that, okay, you know what? I don't want this to be blue. I want to change it to purple. So how do I go about it? Now this is blue. You could see from, if you understand how hue, saturation, and luminance works, I'm not going to dwell on that right now because that's not the focus. But as a designer, you should know the difference between hue, saturation, and luminance, or brightness. Sometimes it's called brightness. So now let's say, for instance, I don't want it to be blue. I want it to be purple because they happen to fall into the same category. So I can always tweak it here, right? So I'm changing the blue to a purple-like look. Now you can see that the sky has just been changed to purple, for instance. Now let's say you're working with a brand and the brand has its color to be purple. Yes, we know that the sky is actually blue, but just because you're a designer, of course, you can always manipulate things. You can always use this to change, images to make them look the way you want to look. Now, this has been changed to teal or green in the sense you get. Remember, this was not how our image was. It was at first blue. We changed it to purple, and then we're coming to change it to, teal and so on. So you could just work on whatever it is you have here. And how saturation works is saturation adds more color, more vibrance to your color. So because we've changed it to aquas here, so when you click on aqua, rather, when you click on the saturation here, you can see that this makes it more vibrant, right? So this is how saturation works. So let's say I'm taking it back to purple, for instance. Purple, and then I'm coming to saturation. When I increase the purple, you would see that it will become, even more purple, right? So this is literally how it works. And maybe you want it to be brighter or less bright. This is how you work on your colors or your images and whatnot on Photoshop. And then also, just in case you want to, let me take this back to the initial value we have, so I don't get anything looking unpleasant rather visually. Okay, so now let's take it back to, let's move on to this. So you could choose to sharpen how your picture looks like. Maybe your picture quality is not so great and you need to work on it. So you could always use these options here on camera raw filter to sharpen the look of your image. So you could also try to make it more make it more highlighted, right? You could use your highlights to, you can see that it's kind of looking, not really bright in the sense, not really sharp, but the colors are being highlighted and, pretty much in the face right now because I'm increasing the highlights. Or perhaps you want it more light than it is. You could use this to change how your image should look like. And then, of course, the dark options and all of that. This looks quite brighter, not really brighter in the sense, but I reduced I increased the darkness. So it's not looking all, it has more contrast now that I increased the darkness, right? Maybe you don't want it to have so much shadows around it. You want it to be firm. You want it to be, concise and all of that. So I just worked on the shadows now. I can see that I've been able to work on our image. So this is what we have, and this was what we had before. So you could tell the difference between this image and this image. This image was worked on using camera raw filter, and this image is what we had before. So now I'm going to be placing them side by side for you to see the magic you can get done with Photoshop. Okay, so let me increase this to 160. I'm doubling the size of the width of the canvas right now. So the one by the right hand side, let me duplicate it. Okay. So the one by the right hand side is, I'm trying to take it to what we had before without the camera raw filter. Give me a minute. I want it to look just the way I should have actually duplicated it. I should have duplicated it on the start so that we are able to distinguish, between both of them. All right, this is what we had before, and this is what we have now. So let me find a way to bring them side by side. This is, you can have as many things as possible, or you want in your as many tabs as you want, right? So this is me trying to say that, okay, I want these images to be side by side, but at the same time, I want to show the difference between the first and the second one. I'm coming back to this, right? I'm just trying to find a way to, since I did not duplicate it from the start, I want to put them side by side. So I'm making this, let me take this back to how it was, Control Z, increase the size, the width of my screen. And now this is what we've got. This is the before image. Remember, I had copied the after and pasted it somewhere. So I'm bringing it back now. I'm copying it and I'm pasting it here by the side. So this is what it looks like. So now these are two images we have, and guess what? We just enhanced the look of this image. This is the before and this is the after. You can see that the after looks, more vibrant. more colorful, more sharp, and all of that. Yes, so this is one of the things you could achieve using the camera raw filter. And remember that this is where we came from. We came from the picture looking this way, right? Landscape, and we turned it to a portrait picture without having to, without necessarily having to expand its look or scale it to make it bigger. All right, so moving forward, okay, I have not taught you how to remove the background of the image yet. I just remembered that. So before I move on to the next item of the segment for us to quickly round off, I'll be teaching you how to take off the background of your image using Photoshop. Now, I mentioned earlier that Photoshop gives you quite a variety of options on how to remove your background. Good. So sometimes if one doesn't work, always use the other. So now I'm coming to the eraser tool. That is where you get to find your background eraser. Now, how do I go about this? I click on background eraser. I have to convert my image to a rasterized object, right? So I'm rasterizing the object for me to be able to remove the background. So this is just me increasing the size of my brush, which I'm going to be using. I just did that. And when I click on the background, you can see that the background has been removed, right? Or is being removed rather. So clicking on it, you can see that whatever I click on, the background goes off. So this is one of the ways you can erase your background on Photoshop. And another way you can do that is using the magic eraser tool. Although it doesn't work for every image, but you just have to know which one works for whatever purpose you're using it for. And how do you know? You try out things. So explore, feel free to explore when you open your Photoshop. Now, using the magic eraser tool, I'm just going to click on this, and you can see that a huge part of the background has been erased on its own. Do you get? So this is how it works. If I increase the brush size, which I'm going to do right now, I want to increase the brush size to, let's say, 1,000, so that, or 2,000, so that it's able to, cover more. Now, if I click on this background eraser tool, since my brush size has been increased, no, it was not increased. Let me check. Okay, 2,000. Okay, so this works for just the eraser, my bad, for the just eraser tool. But for magic eraser tool, it just covers where it is able to cover, but it's just one tap. Although sometimes it takes up everything, at once. It depends on how your image looks like. So this is how you can erase background from Photoshop. Another option could be, so just in case it is not making it as neat as you would desire, you could always use your polygonal lasso tool. This is where you get it, your polygonal lasso tool, and then you select manually from scratch. So this is me making a selection with my polygonal lasso tool. And remember, the goal is to erase my background, right? I'm just going to erase a part of it for you to see how it works. So I'm carefully selecting my image. I'm taking it off the background carefully and selecting my image. So now we have made some selection here, right? Now let's say the part I want to take off is, the part I want to erase out of my background. This is me just making a very rough selection. So please, because of time, I'm not getting to select both the trees and everything, but you can actually select it in a way that, you select the trees out, everything, and it's as neat as you want it to be. So I just made a selection right now, and my polygonal lasso tool has been activated. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come to select, and I'll click on subject, select subject. Yes, this will discard my current selection, okay? So when I click on select subjects, because I have used the polygonal lasso tool, it has defined an object for me already. So I'm going to click on Control J. Control J is how you duplicate on Photoshop. So Control J, the item has been duplicated. And when I remove the former one, you can see that the ones I selected using my polygonal lasso tool have been made evident, and then everything on the background is gone. So this is the third way you can remove your background from Photoshop. I think we're good here. Now moving forward, yeah, so when I was using the camera raw filter, I touched on the image enhancement. So we've done something on that. Remember, we enhanced the image, the building image, and then made it look better. So now lastly, you're going to be using our blend mode. I'm going to be teaching you how to blend using your layer marks. Remember, we've used layer marks to mark certain items before. But now what is blending? So there are certain elements you may want to bring into your design, right? And let's say, for instance, I don't know if you've seen designs where a part of it just glows and you're wondering, how did this designer achieve this? How did this designer get this done? So now let me explain to you. So there are certain elements we get, like the site I shared to you, I shared PNG wing. You can get certain elements there, different elements which you can use for your design. Like for instance, this design I'm opening here, this design is a combination of different elements, okay? It's a burger design. It's a combination of different elements. So from the burger to the texture, everything is different. So if I start moving, you can see everything moving. I'm just trying to distort everything to show you that it's not just an image in the sense. This is me having to put in different work. You can see that I covered this with another image on the side to just give me what I want. So as a designer, always feel free to explore. And why am I saying this? Because really you need the idea of graphic design most times to enhance your UI UX look. So look at this, for instance. Let me undo everything I just did. So for me to make this design pop, there are certain elements I got to make it pop. Now, if I hide this, for instance, this is a light. You can see that a particular light just disappeared from the background. The background is not plain, but I started with a plain background, right? Or a gradient rather. But apart from that, I ensure that every element I added to this particular design here, it made it look so enhanced in a way that it is more pleasing to look at. Now, talking of blending, this is how you achieve it. Now, for instance, I have so many things here that I added to the background to make it pop, like this one, which I'm undoing and redoing just for you to see the difference, how it makes a difference in your design. And then this is the light option, which you have here. So you could see some things are leaving, right? But I did not just apply them randomly. I have to blend them in such a way that everything blended in my design. Now, for instance, this light I have on the background, how did I get it? Now, this is how the light appears normally, right? But it's not looking well blended here. So how do I blend? I click on it and I get options from here. So when you open this particular place, you get a couple of options and you get to choose the one you want. So you could choose to anyone. So for this particular one, I use the hard light. So you see the difference the hard light gives it. It doesn't look so rough. It looks very well blended, right? I'm going to show you how a particular light option looks like when it's not blended. Though this one doesn't exactly give what I'm trying to offer you. So now I added a light behind the burger. If I deactivate this now, you can see that the light behind the burger is gone, right? And how does the light look like? This is how the light looks like if it is not blended. You know, it's covering the whole burger, so I have to put it behind. But this is the normal look of the light. But at the same time, I know that if I just put this on the background, it doesn't make so much sense. You know, I have to use my blending options right here to see the one that makes it look better. So I'm blending, you know, there's no casting stone rule on what to use exactly to achieve a certain effect. So sometimes lighting does it. Other times you can use screen. Sometimes you can use color dodge, overlay, and the lights, right? So you could just explore the options you have here to see what works for your design. So for me, if I want to put these lights on top of my burger, right, I'm going to go for something like a color burn. I'll go for a color burn or a linear burn or even a darker color, right? Now, this is the difference it makes. When I undo this, you can see the difference it's making in between the burger and the text. But remember, I took it backward because the idea is for it to make the burger glow from behind. That is why I took it backward, right? So it is hiding behind the burger. and this is the light here. So if I use other options, you may not even see the lights clearly, or the light may not appear as neatly as it should appear, right? So when you're blending, don't just look for any blend. Don't just say, okay, what blend works? Try to explore the options you have here to know what blend works for the particular effect you're trying to achieve. You know, that is how you work as a designer. And then also something else I did here is, so I wanted a wooden background, but at the same time I wanted some grass behind it, right? So you could see here that I combined two backgrounds together to get what I wanted, since I wasn't finding any image that offered me a wood and a grass behind it. So firstly, I got the first, which had a grass definitely, and which you can see right now. So I put the wood on top of it. You get, this is how the wood looks like. So I just put it on top of it and ensure that I did not take it past where the grass was showing, since I wanted the grass. Do you understand? So these are things that you could always use to make your designs pop and make your designs look better. Now, for instance, this one, how did I achieve this shape? Remember that when you're shaping on your Photoshop, it gives you something straight like this. Do you understand? So I had to go back to where I came from using the using this pen tool. I added an anchor point and I was able to shape the rectangle to give it this particular look it has right now. Yes, so this is really the things you should, you know, be able to do with your knowledge of graphic design. So let's say, for instance, you even want to put this on your UIS and on Photoshop somewhere. You're designing for a burger brand or something, and then you just want this extra spicy feel. You can always come to Photoshop to do your work and export, you know, take it back to Figma to continue your designs there. So really, no knowledge is a waste, you know. No knowledge is a waste at all. And, you know, these are just things that, now, for instance, this is the normal. If you see what I did here, for this particular lights feature I have here, this is the normal look of the lights. So this is how I downloaded the lights from the internet. But come on, look at it. This does not do any good to our design. In fact, it makes it look worse. But because I knew that I needed this light feature I'm seeing on this light element I'm seeing here, what did I do? I brought it into my design and I chose to blend it to fit with the background. You can see that I'm exploring different options right here. Of course, making it darker would not work. Lighting, you know, gets the job done, or screen. You understand? If you're not seeing it well, you can zoom into your screen. This little light glow on it that looks like fire or some sort. That's what I'm talking about. I wanted it to blend with my background to make it look like, okay, yes, this burger is hot, and of course it's just coming from the fire. I needed some fire effects, you know, from all of that, looking like rays. So I got it and I had to blend it into my background to give it the look it has right now. Good. Now, remember I said this is not how I got it from the internet, right? So really, these are things that you want to achieve. Maybe you want a screen on your UI and just want to give it this certain effect it has by the side, right? You're designing for a burger brand, for instance, and then you just don't want some plain background, or at least just use gradients. No, you can always come to spice things off using Photoshop. And then when you take it back to Figma, you are able to, you know, get your work done just the way you want it to be. So ideally, we were supposed to go through, what I had in mind was that we build this design together, but because of time, the time is fast spent. And I apologize that we will not be able to get this flyer done right now, because it might take quite some couple of time, and it's almost 7. I'm trying to keep to time here. So I'm just going to call it a wrap here right now, and then attend to questions first. And then if we have more time, we'll be able to come back here to get some, you know, designs done practically. So I'm throwing the floor open to questions from you. Comfort, how would you like the questions to be posed? Would you like them to type on the chats or unmute their mics and ask their questions?
Okay, they can unmute the mic and ask their question. So, but just need to like use their raise hand emoji to signify if they would like to ask a question. Although someone already typed a question in the comment section. It said it's Christiana. She asked
Okay.
how can we get the Adobe Photoshop free version for someone who wants to start learning and can't afford to pay?
Okay, so good question. Thank you for reminding me. So how you can get this for free, like I earlier mentioned, there are websites where you can access the product version, right? But like I said, you have to be extremely careful, because if you're not careful, you could get some virus on your computer, which I bet you don't want. So I know for MacBook, if you're using a MacBook, there is a site like excuse me, I'm trying to remember the name right now. I can't at the moment, but um I'm trying to remember. Okay, the one coming to memory right now is for Windows. It's called Get Into PC, getintopc.com. Yes, I think that's the name. When you get there, you would see Photoshops, like different versions. So I'm currently using Photoshop 2020. And also, when downloading Photoshop, ensure that you go for the one that is compatible with your computer. Otherwise, it's going to be so much load and too heavy for your computer, and it may end up crashing. So yes, that is how you can get Photoshop. And also, you could ask from people. If you are using Windows and you know someone who has Photoshop installed in their Windows, you could just get the app from them, or the software rather. And also for Mac, if you're using a Mac and you know someone who has it, you could just get that installed on your laptop. So really, that's how you can access it. But if you want to pay, Photoshop is very much open to receiving your payment, right? But for us in this side of the country, because of the exchange rate, it's quite on a high side, especially if you're not earning from your skill yet. I wouldn't advise that you start paying for the software. But if you know that you're earning already and then you can afford it, then why not? It's the safest way, actually, the safest way to use this software. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. She also asked, in case there is, you mentioned that if you're using those other platforms where you can download it. So she also asked, what is there another platform that they can use for free to design if they can't afford to pay for Adobe?
Okay, good question. So if you want a platform where you can also get your designs done without having to pay, the options available are not as should I say top notch right now, because really Photoshop is the industry standard tool, and it is for a reason, because of the features it offers. So other softwares might not necessarily give you, or might not be able to give you these packages that Photoshop offers. So you could consider Canva, right? But as a designer, I wouldn't advise that you just go there. I would want you to be more creative. So just find a way to get Photoshop. That's my advice, really.
Okay, Christiana says thank you. I guess you answered that question. So does anyone have any other question? You could raise your hand so that we can call upon you to speak, or you can type your questions in the comment section.
So I would also like to mention that for design, another option could be CorelDRAW, but trust me, CorelDRAW doesn't really give you everything you should have as a designer. But just in case you get your hands on anyone that is not Photoshop, it is not a bad idea to try it out, right? It's not a bad idea at all to try your hands on something. The most important thing is that you are able to get the basics of design as a whole. So that's what most important, really, not necessarily the software you use to get your designs done.
Okay, so I have a question. So what else beyond just flyers and banners? Is there some other things that you can do with Photoshop?
Oh, definitely. There are a whole lot of things you can do with Photoshop. So just like you saw me editing an image earlier, Photoshop can be used for image editing. Photoshop can also be used for image manipulation. We did not cover that because, of course, that's for advanced users of Photoshop. In a sense where you want, now let's say this house we have here, for instance, you want to put the image of a man, in the sense that the house is, I don't know how to put it, but it's called double exposure though. The term is double exposure in design. but in a way that we want to put the house inside of a man to make it look so real. You could always use Photoshop to get that done. It's called double exposure. And I'm sure you've seen things like that before on movie posters and flyers. So yes, apart from flyers, you could use Photoshop to do image editing, double exposure. You could use it to design for mesh and clothing. You could also get your user interfaces done using Photoshop. Yes, and quite a lot of other options. There are so many things you can do using Photoshop.
Wow, wow. Okay, okay, that's super nice. So, for a product designer, so um, how important is having a graphic design skill? How important is it?
Okay,
Is it
it is
important?
very
Something that
important. I
you
would say
can.
non-negotiable actually, because it helps you to get your user interface right. Some people are good at UX, of course, what's it called now? User experience, and they are not so good at user interface, right? So for you to be able to put that balance into your product design skill, it is very important that you learn graphic design. It would help you to even know how to, make things pop. There are times when you submit a work to your client and they're like, this is not giving me what I want, right? If you have this graphic design knowledge, you don't even have to redesign from scratch. Just put one light here and there, lightning rather. One of these things, just have to blend something and then it just gives it this feel. So it makes it pop, it makes it so vibrant and all of that. So yeah, these are some of the things that the knowledge of graphic design can offer you as a product designer.
Okay. Okay, that's super great. That's super great. So, thank you very much, Faith. This has been a very, very intensive class. I wish that we can take this class, further, but I don't know if there is any question. This is the right time to ask questions, because if we don't have any question, it means that Faith has done a complete job, and you understand how to create your designs now, and you're now an expert. The best way to learn actually is to ask questions, because some things that she might not cover, and there's some things that you never find online, right? And that is why you have people. We tend to bring people that can, answer your questions and provide you with clarity, because trust me, you cannot find some things that she has said online, right? So, and even if you're going to find it online, it's going to take you intensive work, and it's going to take you intensive research to do that. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask your questions, raise your hand, and so that we can get your questions answered. But if you don't have any question, I don't know if Faith has something else she wants to share, but if not, that is basically it for the day. So Faith, do you have any other thing you want to share with us?
Okay, yes, I would just like to mention that I'm very much aware that the graphic design path is quite, I would say, underrated in a sense, right? So don't look at it from that aspect. It's a very lucrative field, really, if you know your audience, if you know what to do. It's a very lucrative field. So when you're learning when you're learning product design, right? Don't just dwell there. It is very vital. Like I had earlier established from the beginning, that you have a knowledge of graphic design. It's going to help you go a long way, really. Imagine if, as a product designer, you're able to just get some manipulations done that another product designer cannot get done. It makes you stand out in your field, right? So please find a way to learn graphic design. I would even advise that if you're going into product design, you start with graphic design first. But because so many people may not be patient enough to learn it, they just jump into product design right away. But if you can give your time to learn both of them, it would take you a very long way. And before you know it, you can even launch into different aspects of design. Like even for animation, graphic design helps you to be able to get proper animation done in a way that it is visually appealing and eye-catching, right? So just be at the back of your mind that whatever aspect of design you want to veer into, now or later in the future, you cannot bypass graphic design, even if it means you just having a basic knowledge of it. Please go ahead and do so.
Okay. Thank you very much, Faith. Thank you very much, Faith. I think that is basically the end of today's graphics design class. If there is no question, I'm going to give about let's say a few seconds so that you can think through any questions that you have. And also she has something on the screen as well, so that you can take a screenshot of it. And this video would also be available on our YouTube channel, so you can always rewatch the video, and so that you are able to practice what you've learned. So um since there is no question, so thank you very much, Faith, for today. You can stop sharing your screen now.
Okay,
We
you're
appreciate,
welcome.
we appreciate the it's not easy teaching because and you did it so excellently well, and I must commend all that you
Thank
did.
you.
Even I myself, I learned something today as well, even though I'm not interested in graphics design, but I think I can design a flyer with Photoshop right now, and I can manipulate.
Okay,
I love
awesome.
the part of the pictures though, so that I can probably edit my pictures. I can make my pictures stand out. My birthday is coming up soon, so probably I'm going to make them
Awesome.
for my birthday myself. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, thank you very much. So, concerning the programs at academia, so if you have any question concerning that, I know John had a question before, and I think I've answered that. I mentioned that if you check the website now, you'll notice that it has been updated. My apologies for that oversight. So, the price that you initially saw on the website was for the past cohort, right? The last cohort, but we are extending our program to 12 weeks, and that is why there is a change within the pricing. And also our curriculum is now a bit more in-depth and comprehensive, right? That is why there is a change in the price. So, and that means that you have more time to learn the skill, and you also have more time to put your put what you've learned to practice, to work. So for the purpose of those, for the sake of those who just joined us, I'm just going to do a quick summary of what I mentioned, so that we can all be on the same page, and then you can also understand what exactly we are talking about here. So just give me a moment. Let me go back to the beginning of the slide. So I mentioned that we have courses in data analytics, product management, cybersecurity, full stack web development, product marketing, and product design. So, and the key part of partnering with academia on your career journey is because you have privilege of learning from experts, people who have over 8 years of experience, that have made mistakes, have learned from it, have in-depth knowledge, and are able to provide you with guidance that you need to succeed in your career path. And our curriculum is very, very comprehensive as well. It touches on every single thing that would make you job ready. Like you're ready for the job, you're ready to start working on projects and all of those things. And at the beginning, we also shared a few videos that talks about where a lot of people were talking about how our class has been hands-on, and how the assessment has made it very, very easy for them to learn the work and get build hands-on experience, because it's beyond just theory. It's not like, oh, someone is just sharing a slide and you're just reading through it. The person is reading through a slide, or you're being given a video to watch. No, you have people, real life mentors who are coming online, and you're seeing their faces, and they're sharing their screen, not sharing their screen to show you a slide deck, right? They're sharing their screen to show you exactly how it is done. For example, with the product design, the designer is sharing the design mentor is sharing his Figma board. You're seeing how he's designing it real life. You're seeing how he's coming up with the user flow, how he's coming up with the design systems, the components, how he's coming up with designing of a mobile app, and what are the things that he's doing, the best practice on creating a button and all of those things. So it's pretty much hands-on. Same for the product management classes and even the web development class. You're going to be seeing them do these things live, rather than just you watching the video or you seeing a slide deck, right? Then also there are networking opportunities We have an alumni forum that you can network with, in people with people, networking people who are doing what you're doing, or people who are in on the same journey with you, and you can learn from each other. And even after the class, after the 12 weeks program, you can always, communicate with them, learn together, and also share your learnings. And also when you're facing a particular challenge, these people can also provide you with counsel and solutions around what works for them as well. And there are a lot of opportunities that we also share within that community as well. And there's also real world project immersion. It means that you're going to be working on real projects, right? You're going to be designing a mobile app, you're going to be designing a website, you're going to be building a full website or web app. You're going to be creating a product strategy regarding a particular problem that is within your community, or regarding a particular project that you're passionate about. And the icing on the cake is the post-training mentorship. So we're not just going to leave you, right, after the 12 weeks, you're just going to leave you on your own. No. After the 12 weeks, you still have access to your mentors, you still have access to the academia team, you still have access to your peers, so that you all can learn and build and grow together. When you're facing a particular challenge, you can always share it within our private community. Some of you are already in our open community right now, but we have another private community that is dedicated to only the beneficiaries of participants of any of our programs. And that within that community, there you would have your mentors that you can always drop your questions or drop your challenges. Probably you're employed in a company and you're as a product designer, and there is a particular dashboard that you're required to create, and you're finding it difficult to understand, or you're finding it difficult to understand the product requirements documents that your PM has provided to you. Or maybe you're a product marketer and you're tasked to create a go-to-market strategy, and you're clearly, or probably you just need a little bit of someone to review your work. That community, that post mentorship provides you with that easy fix. So you don't have to start bothering your head about going to Google or watching extensive videos, but there will be people there who are able to provide you with that experience, their own experience and their knowledge. So I already mentioned that we have our programs are 12 weeks and it's strictly virtual, right? And we have weekly lectures and hands-on exercises, and there are assignments that would also help you to test your work, right? So that you're able to know if you're getting better, if you're learning something. And those assignments would also help us and help your mentor to understand where to focus more on. For example, if you've been taught on creating a design system or probably creating a component, right? And you're being given an assessment, and you're unable to do it, but you didn't do it the right way. You're getting clear and constructive feedbacks from your mentor to let you know, okay, this is what you should have done, this is how you should do it. And that way the mentor is also able to go back to that lesson so that you're able to get more insight and get more understanding on that particular task. And there's also projects. So everyone will be working on it. But I mentioned you're working on real life projects. It might be a project that is assigned to you, or it might be a project that you are passionate about, or it might be a project within your community. So that is basically what that is. And then the course fee are product management, product marketing, and product design classes for 100,000 naira each, while data analytics, web development, and cybersecurity courses are 150. But I know that you might like, oh wow, how can I do that? But we make it available for you we make installment plans, payment options available for you, so you can spread your payments for 3 installments over a period of 2 months, or you split the payment into 2 and pay half now and pay half afterwards within after a month or so. So if you want to learn, that is how we have made it easy for you to access these trainings and also be a beneficiary of our programs. And so if you have any questions or further questions concerning the programs, concerning the courses, feel free to chat with any of the admins or drop a message in the community. My colleague have already put the community link within in the chat, so you can drop a message in the community, and then we would reach out to you to provide answer questions, or you can just ask your questions even in the community, and we would answer your questions. So I wish you all the best in your career path. For those that are looking to transition to tech, I wish you all the best. The tech career is a very, very fulfilling role, and it gives you that flexibility to set up who work from home, set up who have and there are even a lot of opportunities beyond just working from home. There is a global talent visa that allows you to travel to work and learn, or work and stay in the UK. And there are other HB1 visa. There's some other skilled tech worker visa for the US and Canada, and a lot of other Germany, Australia, a lot of other countries as well, who are looking to, even I think Dubai also is also looking for even developers as well, looking to even if you have experience in development, web development, you can easily work and live in Dubai as well there, because they are looking to build an AI, some AI technology. So they are training people on AI, but you need to have a good understanding about web development, and then you can move to Dubai. And a lot of other countries, a lot of other countries as well are also doing that. So tech is a very, very fulfilling career and rewarding career. So if you're looking to do that, we are if you're very, very serious about transitioning to tech, send us a message, drop a comment on the community, and we'll be happy to help you. And even if you do not know which particular career path to follow, still drop a message. We would guide you on what to do. We'll listen to you and ask a few questions, and then give you what we recommend to you, what we feel might be the best fit for you based on your career path and your aspirations. So thank you very much for everyone. If there's no other question, we've come to the end of today's section. And thank you also, Faith, once more for sharing your knowledge with us. We look forward to having more of you. And see, we'll meet again next time. We'll be having other sessions within the week. And definitely you'll be informed about what the sessions would be, what the speaker would be, and what the topics would be. But that is all for today. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.
Thank you, Comfort, and everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.